What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Jdiesel coming at you live with another episode of Under the Radar. And with me, as always, my partner in crime, Grandmaster Floki himself. How you doing today, my man?
I was trying to be real discreet in getting a Hershey's Kiss thrown to me. That actually failed.
What, you got that IRL assist out there? Is that your sensu bean? It's just a Hershey Kiss instead?
It's actually the lava cake ones, which were not sponsored, but these are amazing.
You know what, Hershey, if you want to sponsor, by all means.
No, but I'm doing well. Just had my first day at my new job and my schedule. You might see a lot of me coming up.
Ooh, that is exciting. It has been a minute since you've been on the travel grind, but if you got some time to do it, make it happen, man.
But one of the people that I'm going to be probably running into the most on my travels this upcoming season, and I have said this, and this man knows it. I have my favorite set of Dragon Ball I've ever played with this man. In the last year, there's like two people that I reference, ASAP Ricky and this man. He was a participant in Summit Rap. He's one of New England's finest, and he's the only Majin Buu in like God knows how far. I think this man, I don't know any other Majin Buu players.
I was gonna say there is none in my region.
This man wants to make you into a cookie. It's Pumperjam.
Oh,
Ooh.
What is good, Pumperjam?
Thank you. Everything is good. Everything's going well. Blessed. Thank you guys for having me on the show. It's an honor. I finally get to hear myself on the show rather than not just be on the show. So thank you guys.
I like it. I like it. Now,
Yeah.
Obviously, Floki knows who you are, and I know who you are. But for the people who are listening live and the people who are listening, on YouTube or wherever else, why don't you talk a little bit about yourself so that people can get to know who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Anthony, formerly known as Pumperjam. I've been in the scene, in the shadows, since 08, 09. I don't travel much just because I'm just lazy, but I started off playing Street Fighter 4, transitioned to Marvel 3, jumped back on Street Fighter 5, then I, in that game took a dip, hopped onto Infinite, but then that game died quicker than most Canadians' careers starts off, and then I just went back to Dragon Ball. So, other than that, I think I'm a cool guy. I do know that I say some uncool things, but if you give me the benefit of the doubt, I mean, time to explain myself where it's coming from.
Oh, is this the redemption of Pumperjam? Is that?
This isn't the first time I said some suspect thing. So
Got it out for real. Like, one thing that when I met you, I kind of knew that you are very. I remember at Rap the Mix. I have a video still. I might post it on Twitter. It was Dark versus Hip, and I just heard the Guile theme just going off, and you were like slapping your stick, and I was like, "This man."
Yeah, I'm definitely. At times. I mean, I'm an introvert at first, but obviously I could switch over the gears and be an extrovert. But for the most part, not that the name suggests, but I can't hide from the name. Pumperjam. I do tend to, make a situation hype. I do bring the hype at my locals or anywhere. So. I think there's a video, shout out to Asian Tom. I don't know what we were playing or what we were doing, but he recorded a whole session of me just singing Lil B to whatever game they were playing. So, I it's like a League of Legends game. I don't know, but I'm the type that I don't need to know what's going on. If I choose to be like Floki asked in the beginning of the session, am I talking to Anthony or I'm talking to Pumperjam? It varies. So I do bring the hype ever so often. So.
Yeah. Is it true, Pumperjam, that you might have a mixtape dropping? Because I swear to God, every time I go to Balance Patch or like where we were at Summit, you were singing some random like Dragon Ball song. Like I remember you. I heard "You Must Mash It." I heard that. That song.
I do have a couple jingles, but my manager and I just had some disagreements at the end of the year. So, there was some financial dispute, so the album is being postponed. But stay tuned.
It's in the works. It's in the
works.
Okay. 2020, we're gonna get the Pumperjam.
Hell yeah! I got some free time, so maybe I'll just cut off my manager and start doing my own beats.
Oh,
so, we'll go from there.
Man's about to announce his free agency on here. Like,
that is OD.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we got a little bit of a feel for who you are. So, obviously, there is a character that you are known for, and by far and away. Now, everybody has saw the Boston versus HOC match, and you put in work.
You did.
You put in work with Boo himself. Now, this character has been all over the tier list between seasons 1 and 2. Originally, he was at the very bottom, and then people were like, nah, he's got incredible stuff. He's actually good. And they're like, oh, well, they actually took it away. Talk to us about Boo. Talk to us about how you make this character work. You are one of the only Majin Boos on the entire East Coast.
Or maybe in the US.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably count the number of notable Boo mains has got to be less than 5. I don't even think you get a full 5, to be honest.
I think you get like 2, maybe 3 tops.
Yeah. Well, you hit me with a loaded question. I've been playing Boo a little bit in July. I think I made it official, or just toughed it out and started doing it in August. So I think the first question was, where do I place him in the tier list?
Yeah, we can do that part last, but if you want to just talk through your experiences first.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My experiences with Boo, I think overall, my experience with Dragon Ball, I never picked it up as far as, being competitive. When it came out, I hated it. I was the number 1 hater, the biggest hater of the game ever. So I was all about Infinite, and any reason I just hated the game. But then Infinite started dying. And I don't want to make this a talk about Infinite, but I one day pulled up to GameStop and I said, "Yo, give me this bitch Dragon, whatever." I went home, played it, and with it. And as far as Majin Buu, I always had an eye on him.
Okay.
Especially with Aliun.
Yep.
In the France, he always low key hyped Majin Buu up, and I just saw everyone just kept antagonizing him or the character or the both. So I played him. He was fun. He always reminded me of Sentinel in Marvel 3.
Really?
With the limbs.
Think about.
With the limbs, because if you consider Sentinel's...
true. Heavy Punch. Yeah.
Heavy Punch. Yeah, they both covered the same angles that Majin Buu does. So coming from Marvel, I always try to play a team that closely resembled Marvel as close as possible. So I had Gohan for the install jumps, the high lows.
Yep.
So I just always try to incorporate Marvel as best as I can, because that's how I could understand the game. But one thing that I never wanted to do was to build a team around a character. I never wanted to have 1 point and 2 assists. Just not my style. I always wanted to have 3 points, or 3 points can help each other out. So Majin Buu was always never a thing for me in season 1, because he was solely SSJ Vegeta best friend, and I just didn't like Super Saiyan Vegeta after the nerf. Right. I mean, I like him now because now Nooch and Meta has developed, but at the time I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm not going to pair him up with Yamcha and SSJ Vegeta because this is not my style. So season 1, he was always a pocket, and I mean like a pocket in a pants that doesn't fit me 3 years ago. So he was just always in the closet just waiting for the day for him to come out.
Okay.
Season 2, I picked up Bardock, and that's what I try to build around Bardock. Had Videl for a while, and then shout out to Hip. Hip has always been beating the crap out of us in Boston for consistently, well, to the day. But one time we played, and he pretty much said, "Hey, you don't play your character's strengths. You don't play your characters to their strengths. You play every character the same. And after humbling myself and not popping off at what he's saying, I had to ask him, like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean I play every character the same? At the time, I played Bardock, GTG, Yamcha.
Okay.
And he just said, hey, you're playing every character the same. You start the match and you do special into block string, into high low, special into mix. You're just always the same. You're not using character strength. So I said, bitch, I don't get what you mean. Can you elaborate a little further with Bardock in particular, right? Because you're making it sound like I'm boring, I'm mundane. So he pretty much said, hey, well, with Bardock, you're not utilizing his key blast. His key blast can set up his whole play.
Yep.
You're not keeping away key blast lariat into shenanigans. And that's when he opened my third eye, and I'm like, oh, okay. Key blast. Yeah, I never used that button because I don't know what that is. Okay, cool, bet. So then I started key blasting, and then I said, wait a minute. Majin Buu has a key blast. Majin Buu has more key blast than Bardock. Let me swap the characters and just learn how to play key blast with the character that has a key blast.
Right.
And then it was sold because then I saw that Majin Buu's jump H angle is crosses with GTG's beam. So it really made more sense to me. And then I'm like, oh, wow, I think I found the perfect Majin Buu shell.
Oh, that's right, because you've got the upward angled GT and the downward angled JH. Wow. It's just, it makes an X.
Right. And then at any point in time, I can always switch. So if I do jump H, I call GTG, that's an X. If I do jump H, jump 2H, I can call Yamcha. So that's kind of like I'm always having like a cute triangle on the screen. If we go bring back shout out to geometry. I'm always covering the screen with my 2 assists. So aside from that, then it's the key blast and the nooch game. So once I saw that GTG Yamcha are Majin Buu's best friends, and I said, all right, cool, I'm gonna tough it out. I'm gonna stick with this team. I didn't think I was gonna tough it out. Which brings me to my second point with Majin Buu. It's been a hell of a goddamn trifling journey because this character did not pick up and play. So I think your question was, how do you feel playing him?
Yeah, because he is such a different character. When the usage stats came out, published by Bandai, the second lowest character in the game was Ginyu, and the least popular character across all skill levels was Majin Buu.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, he had I want to say it was a 0.3% play rate. Or a 0.1. It was incredibly low for a 3v3 game.
That's the crazy part, because the game is very versatile. Like, you have like the top 6 characters, right? Like, you have that, but like you have characters that can be played in different kinds of styles. And I think Pump's explanation of Buu is very, very good. So to kind of hear that percentile, because I forgot that.
Yeah. This man is just a Hanzo main. It's all simple geometry, all right?
Yeah, definitely. I don't like to complicate things. I like to keep away, make you block. If you block, go for a mix. If I don't open you up, go back full screen. Let me throw a fat toss. You got caught. Oops, that's on you. Start all over. So.
All right, so walk us through point number 2 here, Pump.
Point number 2. Point number 2 was the how do I excel with this character? Like, why isn't he a pick up and play character? And how do I make my argument that he's good? So he has a lot of the same tools the top tier players have, but you just have to raise the execution level to 1,000. Like, what makes a top tier character, right? Arguably, rejumps, right? Damage, right? Well, Majin Buu has these things, but it's not pick up and play, right? His rejumps is even harder than every other character's rejumps. His damage output, you have to do loops, right? In the corner, right? So if you're not doing the corner loops, then you're missing out at least a K.5 difference of damage.
Wow.
So, when I played Bardock, right, shit was dumb easy. When I would look up on Twitter and look up the tech, I go, oh, okay, I can do that. And then boom, 5 minutes later, I'm already doing it mid-match. Majin Buu, this is another thing I got to do now. and then it'll just take me 2 weeks to learn it. So
Right.
it's just been a very rewarding but painful process of leveling up my Majin Buu, which is why I think he's not pick up and play and why his character popularity is so down. Because again, he's a very specific character, right? He needs a team built around him, and the only team that you can play, well, not need. I mean, you can go for it and be a masochist and just build a team around him. But if you're not optimally putting GTG and Yamcha in it, if you're not putting Vegeta and GTG or Vegeta and Yamcha, you can do Beam, any beam. You can do SOJ beam or Goku Black beam, but you're still cutting out so many opportunities with the characters. And what I appreciate about Majin Buu is he really taught me like how to look at the game, not just geometrically, right, but just in every aspect of the game, right. When it comes to staggers, this dumb fat bitch already has short normals, right? So I don't get to do the staggers that every other character has. So I have to look at it scientifically, right? I have to, I only have 3 normals before I get to H, right? So I really have to be meticulous in every decision that I make. My only mix or true mix is Snap Fuzzy, right? But even the Fuzzy, it's not Bardock's, jump L, jump M, right? It's jump L, plank jump L with M, right? So again, these execution things are coming into play. So it's just not only high level, but it really made me think every little thing. It made me consider every decision that I make, because if you're not playing like that with Majin Buu, you're getting washed. Like, so with Bardock, whatever success I had, I admit it, right? It was because I lariat randomly because you was in range, and then I made you block, and you got hit, and I converted. With Majin Buu, from the beginning of the match, it's like, okay, where are you on the screen, and can you catch his 2H? Can you catch his hand?
You have to move them around and push them based on ranges instead of just trying to. Because that's the thing about Bardock is ultimately a linear character. That, and I think it's something a lot of people get confused on. Is a lot of people assume characters have to do a billion things to be good. That's just not true. Characters can do one thing or flowchart into one particular option and be incredible. And that's what Bardock is. Bardock is such a good character because his game plan is, I'm going to slowly control neutral, and if you get too close, I'm going to lock you down, and I'm going to hit you with mix. And that's it. Yep. And every game with Bardock flows very similarly. Whereas a character like Buu, and this is also what separates a lot of high tiers from mid tiers, is a lot of mid-tier characters, their games don't always look the same. Because their tools are not strong enough that you can brute force them in every situation. You have to pick and choose, and that's kind of what you're describing here with Majin Buu, is you're having to react to the situation at hand instead of imposing your will onto the match because your tools are overbearing.
No, right. It makes sense. Like, I was talking to Pump earlier, and I said straight up, because me and him played Majin Buu. We've probably played online because we haven't seen each other since Summit. So we've ran, almost 20, 30 games, maybe more. And what I told him today, I was like, it literally comes down to Buu versus Piccolo. How that matchup out and, how, neutral works. With him, doing, approaching with, H with GT or that kind of thing, and that key blast versus me doing 6S and trying to oppose my will with jump jab and trunks. There's little things like that in neutral that would separate higher tiers like Bardock, Teen Gohan from characters like Piccolo and Majin Buu.
Yeah,
so, that and even I was playing ASAP Ricky and he plays Super Broly on Prime. And that neutral is weird. I think all that neutral, if you look at besides the top 6, if you play a mid tier versus a mid tier, that neutral is weird. Playing Ginyu against Ginyu versus Piccolo is weird.
That is one matchup that I actually feel confident saying that Ginyu wins.
That's what I'm saying.
It's weird, right? Because it doesn't on the surface make a lot of sense. But then you realize Piccolo has a hard time forcing his way in.
Exactly.
And it's funny, Pump, because there was exactly one player. So the best player in our region about 8 months ago, he doesn't play anymore. Jerry, he had 1 week where he was like, I'm bringing a new team to the weekly. And he showed up with a Majin Buu team.
You showed up with Fat Boo?
Yeah, he showed up with Fat Boo. It was Fat Boo, Gotenks, I want to say SSJ. This was season 1.
Oh, that team seems weird.
And because it was for the restance.
No,
Yep.
right.
Yeah, and I remember him playing that team, and he ended up winning the weekly. He's a very good player. And he's a pretty execution heavy person. He said, I can't do it anymore. He's like, I think this team has strength. He's like, I don't want to have to grind Fat Boo. It's not worth. It's tough.
Yeah.
Fat Boo's one of those characters. Like Fat Boo, like I've watched so many videos from Aliyun and from Pump, and like even getting hit by like corner loops, that it looks hard.
Getting hit?
It looks like on the surface, I'm just like, this dude probably like hates himself trying to do these corner loops right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the best way I can explain playing Majin Buu to real life. It's like if you wanted to lose weight, you just can't just want to just do it for the sake of doing it. Like you really have to change your diet. You have to, like I think my hairline receded at one point just playing this character because this character is not pick up easy.
It's like a whole lifestyle commitment out here.
Yes, it is definitely
a whole.
I'm not kidding. Like the one thing that I'm still not doing with this character is because the moment I saw how stupid hard it is, or not stupid hard, it's just the rejumps. I'm not doing rejumps every week. Like if you play me in July,
yeah,
you go, oh okay, you're a Majin Buu player. Okay, you got some nice stuff, but you play me now. All of those things, like you said earlier, just because you play a character and they have all the tools does not mean that you have to do it. Right? Early July Majin Buu 9 was doing a whole bunch of shit. Up until then, now I'm just cleaning out all the things that I
right.
Because it's not that I shouldn't do these things. It's just they're just even so hard to do. Like a lot of the, I think Hip or Kite, someone in my local was like, "Hey, you be dropping these combos. Why do you?" I think Doctor. Shout out to Doctor. He said, "Hey, Pump, why do you drop these combos?" And I'm like, "Bitch, that's you trying to get personal? Like I'm dropping these combos because they're not easy. They're not as easy as they look. Like they're hard. Like I have to consider hit stun. I have to consider damage scaling. I have to consider where you are on the screen. Like all these little things, right? So basic B&B with Majin Buu is anything into M cartwheel into EX butt slam, right? If you didn't hit 4 key blast and you didn't cancel it properly, you're whiffing that thing. You're whiffing it. It's just whiffing it. So my percent rate of hitting that offline is like 75%. So it's like, yeah, I'm aware if I don't drop these, I can win some of these matches, but I'm not gonna not do it. Like I'm just gonna keep doing it. Eventually, I'll be the best Majin Buu player when I don't drop it. But until then,
right.
shut the fuck up. Pick up the player, pick up the character, and be easy on me.
No, right. Like that's the thing. Like this, a lot of stuff like just like the micro. I remember like when we talked when I was at the BP, the microtransactions you make. Like even now, like when I watch you play, like the little microtransactions you make with Boo, just like, okay, I'm like maybe like close to corner. Maybe I'm just gonna do like fat throw. I'm gonna do EX butt slam, fat throw.
Yep.
Push a little bit to the corner, then Dragon Rush. Things like that make so much of a difference. Versus like, and then just like those little things, just you can like, and then you can see that the rest of the characters you play. I think like. One character you haven't really brought up yet is your Yamcha, because you've been playing Yamcha with, you played GTP before when we played, but I noticed your Yamcha is kind of like another like star of the show because the way you use that character in conjunction, and I think all your characters like working in conjunction together, but I feel like your Yamcha is one of those characters that not a lot of people talk about because I just sees Fat Boo, and then I'm like, but like his Yamcha is like really really strong as well.
Yeah, I've been told that. I think Hip, Fish have all said that my Yamcha is my strongest character. And I just look at the time, like, all right, when did you make this assessment, right? Because at that point, you're probably all right. Because, again, when I started playing this game, I always considered playing this game with 3 points. I can only dedicate 1 point at a time. That's just how my skills are. That's how my talent is. That's just my time. That's how I'm choosing to spend it. So, at one point, Yamcha was the strongest, or he still might be the strongest, but I just feel like I have not cared to put time with my Yamcha. So if he's my strongest, the hell yeah, shout out to my Yamcha. But when I get asked which one do you think it is, I'm going to always say, hey, I think these are my three children. I treat them and love them all the same. I cannot say which one's better or stronger than the other because it comes down to who I'm spending more time with. I spent a lot of time with Majin Buu in the last 6 months. I do know that during those 6 months, that GTG looked weak sauce, but I do think that now it's a level. The playing field is leveled. But yeah, my Yamcha he's nice, he's cool, but I think it comes down to his mechanics. If he didn't block that left right, you did get mixed.
Yep.
You opened up. So I can't say that I'm good with Yamcha when that's his design, right?
Yeah.
I can only say that's my Nooch, right? My Yamcha can play Nooch because I just choose to play Nooch with Yamcha. So
Yeah, that retreating Ki Blast is still...
It's so tricky to deal with. Actually, you brought up like people talking about like your because like your anchor character. Like I remember when I played Super Saiyan Goku, and everybody and their mom was like, "Your Super Saiyan Goku is better than your Gohan and your Piccolo." And I'm like, he's just my anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like one of those things that like it's a good point that you made that like it's how you see it in match. That's why I feel like a lot of people perceive it sometimes as your anchor being your best character because it's perceived in match. So it's like, oh yeah, you see him having this character the most, so he has to do the most work with this character to stay alive.
Yep.
So it's like one of those situations where you have to look at everything for what it is. Like now, like people are saying, "Oh my God, your Yamcha's the best." Like what? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, but I've been playing the same big green boy for the last 2 years.
I mean,
right.
Yeah. I think,
so it's
right.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think part of why anchor characters, a lot of people view it's either your point character or your anchor character is normally seen as your best.
Right.
Your point character, because like odds are that's probably the character you've put the most time into, just for most people, because it tends to be the character they're known for. But a reason that anchors a lot of the time get seen as being often the best is I think most people tend to play better on their last character.
Yeah.
Where it's funny because like, I have more options in a team game, right? When I have both my assist up and all that jazz. But part of it is when you're down to a single character, you're less likely to overextend. You're less likely to take big risks. You're not willing to take the gambles you normally are, because it's very apparent to you, whether you're a good player or a bad player, that you're close to losing.
Right.
So as a result, most people's neutral tends to tighten up when they get down to their last character because they stop taking the risks they normally would.
Yeah, and one more thing to add to all that you said, you also are down to each character, not each, but you're down to your last character where hopefully the whole match you were downloading your opponent, where you now know they vanished in this situation. You now know that they super dash in this situation. You now have 7 bars to play with, or 5 bars, or even Spark. You've downloaded all this information. So, I think that also goes into play, right? Where some human nature, people remember the first and last thing.
Yep.
Of a conversation. Well, a lot of times people reference a fighting match like a conversation, right? So if you remember the point and the anchor is what the anchor is what won the match. Yeah, it's easy to say it's Yamcha or SFJ is your best character, but it's like, I don't think so. It's just a matter of my 2 characters did what my anchor needed to finish. Right, exactly. But I can't take away from what Majin Buu and GTT did for my Yamcha. So
right, because I think that's a really good point. I actually think this is something a lot of players tend to get lost in when they go back and review matches. A lot of players tend to focus on what happened at the end of the game. The fact of the matter is, if somebody beats you, they had to kill all 3 of your characters unless they timed you out. Which means that you got to that situation in some way, shape, or form, and how you lost your first character is just as important as how you lost your last one. Like Floki, we were talking right before we went on air, where my match against Righteous Kill at the monthly, and you were like, you really need to work on your Gogeta conversions. And the first thing I immediately jumped to was, oh, well, I threw away game 3 last character because I DP'd with Gogeta when he wasn't even close, right? Because that's what stuck out in my mind. Because I'm like, oh, well, that's why I lost. Well, is that the only reason I lost? No, it contributed, but that's the part that sticks out. It's that flashball memory. Like, it comes in, and that's what I was hanging on to from that match. I got to go back, and I got to look at how I got to that position in the first place. Missing one DP shouldn't cost me the game if I was really playing well.
Exactly.
Right?
I think Callie Mac has been doing a lot of stream reviews, and one thing he's been doing, and shout out to Callie, like, he's been great. He actually he was on his stream. He said, "Yo, when am I getting my third invite to the podcast?" I was like, "Whoa, buddy!"
Oh, I love Caliback's enthusiasm.
Me too, I was like, bro.
That man wants thirds. Everyone else is just trying to get a plate. He's already back.
Too much dip on your chip, but he's been going through each individual, like, from what I've been watching from him, he's been going through each individual hit that he's been getting. He's been getting hit by.
That's the level of detail that is incredibly important to improving.
Because then you look at the entire conversation for what it is versus just that. Also, a lot of so, like, they have this, I forget the name of it. It's called Script Not Found on YouTube. They play this game called Fresh Choice, where it's like you can, like, say one thing, and then, like, someone could say Fresh Choice, and they literally keep going with the conversation with the last thing they said. So it's like you have to make sure in your head the last thing you said in game makes sense. So it's like, oh yeah, why did I DP at the end of the round when he was not close to me? You know, what justified that?
What was your thought process in that moment? And actually, something that a question I wanted to ask you, Pump, and this is something that, you know, I've been thinking about more. How does it feel to play an underrepresented character? Because this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Because obviously, if you're a Bardock, you're an adult Gohan player, I can go to Twitter right now and I can pull up, you know, hours and hours and hours of tech, and there's a million guides out. You know, there's fuzzy loop guides, all that jazz. As a Majin Buu player, a less popular character, how do you feel about that in terms of trying to learn and grow with the character?
A great question. Thank you. The best way I can answer that is I stick out like a sore thumb. Emphasis on sore thumb, right? So, when I went to ECT, some people already knew who I was, and I'm like, is my name that memorable? But no, it's because I play Majin Buu. So I play a lot online.
Yeah.
Casual and rank. I just go in there, you know, come home from work, you know, rip a couple, smoke a, you know,
yep,
do adult things, and I just play online. So people would just remember, oh, that's that Majin Buu player, right?
Yep.
Right.
So I appreciate the clout. It's been a lot. It's been rewarding, right? Because, like, not that I'm gonna get emotional, but, you know, when I would grind Majin Buu and I will get, you know, the reward of getting first or getting second place, it's like, man, this shit sucks. Like, I don't care about winning these locals. It's so hard to play this damn character. And then when people go, oh man, you play Majin Buu, oh, you're a good character. I'm like, man, you know what? I would hug you if it wasn't inappropriate, because that's what I really enjoyed. That's what I like. So
right, it's one of those.
When I was at ECT, you know, the first time I got warm and fuzzy was after ECT when I played Sage from Jersey.
Oh, that's the boy. Yeah. That's the homie right there.
You know, this is my first major for this game. Yep. I don't know most of the people. I don't know Callie Mac, and I didn't know what he looked like. I just knew Callie Mac because I ran into him so much online and through Twitter. And I know I'm not gonna look at your Twitter file pic because that's just too much creep. So all I know is I know Callie Mac. So when I'm at ECT, and I think I tuned into the podcast here where you guys were debating who's going to win what, who's going to get out of the pools. All I knew is, okay, a mini assassin and Sage. A mini assassin and Sage, right? So
yep.
Those were my two threats, right? And I heard from others, you know, oh, these are strong players. You're strong players. All right, cool. Let me do what I got to do. So obviously I lost. But after the set, right? I followed Sage on his stream. Mind you, if you guys don't know Sage, and I don't want to speak for him or speak about him, don't want my words to taken out of context, but the whole time at the venue, Sage was just like a monk. Like he was quiet, just super
No,
focused. You know.
that man is on a. He might be in the middle of a room for gaming, but that man is on top of a mountain when he's playing. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah,
zens out. Like
Oh my
yeah.
god, that man,
Absolutely.
that man hits his buttons hard, and he like the way you have to look. Like he looks at the game has been like I don't know if you guys, cause I don't play Kid Buu, but like he was going through like little things with 5M.
Yeah, yeah. He kicked my ass sitting like sitting in his Indian style, right? So he like that's how much in the zen he was in. So I didn't peep the whole Saturday. Sunday there was casual. So I was playing casuals. I was standing people up. Don't mention the names. I don't know who they were, but Sage looked at me and said, "Hey, can I get next?" So that was like the first like, oh my god, he recognized me. Yeah, sure, please sit. I think it was a close. I think it was 2-1. It was a lot closer than it was in the tournament. But anyways, after the tournament, like a week later, I followed his Twitch, and obviously when you follow someone, the name pops on the
Yep.
screen and it says Pumperjam is not following you. He said, and again, this is my first warm fuzzy moment. Well, not my first, but one of the most memorable was when he saw Pumperjam up and he was like, "Oh yes, thank you, Pumperjam. Yeah, man, your Majin Buu was nice. It opened the shit out of me at ECT, and I was like, damn, I got recognized. Like he didn't even mention that he kicked my ass or that
No,
I didn't watch. He just recognized that I was a Majin Buu player.
he had
and that I put
respect
in
for your
work.
character. He
He had
respected the way
respect
you
for my
played your
characters.
character.
Yeah, and then the same thing with the mini assassin. When we went to HOC, when Boston invaded HOC, the same thing. A mini assassin was, oh yeah, ECT, Pumperjam, it was a very close set with Majin Buu. So to answer your question, how does it feel representing a low tier character? Pumperjam would say, if you don't know the matchup going into the matchup, you're about to get
You're gonna
washed.
die. No, you will definitely.
Character unfamiliarity has allowed me to scrape a lot of W's off people.
watching some of your matches when you play against people who are like at, I would say, like a regional skill level, and they don't know the matchup, they get cooked.
yeah,
It's just like, and it's funny because like it's even stuff like he has a standing overhead. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
and that it's funny because like it's like, oh well, most people know that, and you'll sometimes see like good players or people who I think are like relatively strong, and they get hit by the standing overhead, and that thing is not fast.
that thing is reactive.
Like,
And, like,
it,
Yeah.
you got it.
It's just like an overhead, so it's just like an overhead. So yeah, I mean, playing a underdeveloped
Yep.
character, it has this. I can't think of his weaknesses because it's been a great experience. I immediately tuned into or joined the Majin Buu Discord when I was learning the character, and if I had to compare the Boston Discord versus the Majin Buu Discord, I can fairly say it's family. It's all love. It's all family. They're constantly sharing tech. Shout out to Virtual Allen. He's always constantly pinging me with new Majin Buu tech. I mean, just as we speak, Ali Yoon just found a corner gimmick command grab setup with Majin Buu, and that came from, earlier this month. I found a way to take grab with Majin Buu, so he passed the fruits to the labor to Ali Yoon the Great, himself. So we're a very tight niche. By any means possible, we help each other. So
And that's beautiful.
That's
Like,
important.
yeah,
Important.
you're helping. And the other thing that's impressive to me, Pump, is you're one of the people who is actively pushing your character forward.
mhm.
And that's something that not a lot of players can honestly say. Like, a lot of people, especially with high tiers, they tend to wait for, the high level representation to discover, oh, one person found Universal Fuzzy. Okay, I'm going to sit here and now grind Universal Fuzzy. Where, like, you're finding new setups and new avenues for your character, even now, right? Like, and we're a good ways into the game. Now, granted, I think there's still a lot more to be discovered in Dragon Ball. The fact that we didn't even know about snap loops until near the end of season 1, and how broken certain characters were in season 1 that just didn't see play. Like, I think there's definitely a lot left to the game.
You know the crazy thing is, I just thought about this. Snap loops were like around ECT 2018, that's when Snap Loop started. ECT this year, if my memory is serving correct, that's when we got Universal Fuzzy.
Yeah.
Around that time. So
Yeah.
I'm noticing, well, not being biased, but I feel like ECT we get all the tech. Gotta get that out of the way.
You're holding on to the tech.
Second of all, it really comes to show like around October, November, we kind of get to the point in the meta where like, okay, all the characters should be out or relatively out at that point. Broly wasn't out, but everything's kind of laid out for what it is. So how can we just get the last of it? Because again, like the finals are in a month, so it's one of those situations where if you haven't like figured out all the tech for your team, if you're going out there, you kind of have yourself. And I feel like again, I think with you, you're pushing your character forward. I was in the stream when you actually followed Pump. Oh, and when you followed Sage. I remember that, and I literally I was like, yeah, like I just remember like that whole moment with you. It was really surreal to watch that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, Nitro Bros as well, were recognized by Pumperjam. Oh yeah, so I mean, when we went to HOC, I remember this is just my poor Nitro Bros impression, but he was like, "Yo, Pumperjam, yo, fuck your Majin Buu, man. I fucking hate that character, right?" So. Like just that, it's like that's awesome. Like that's awesome that you hate my point character.
Oh my god, that is when people tell me they hate my Ginyu. God, it does. It makes you feel so good. I'm glad you get that, Pump. Like
yeah.
Or I like it still when I get hate for Piccolo, and I'm over here like the character doesn't. The character has like the lower, like the mid to like very like not the top 6. You get those like what's going on kind of deal, like people still talk about Vegito like that. People still talk about like, there's like so many characters that you can kind of fill that category with.
Yeah, I mean my Twitter blew up. Like I got so much clout. I got like I don't know. I was like 250 to like 380 like over that weekend. Like so many people messaged me, and said so many kind words. Like, oh, I love your play. I love your budget. Wow, like I've never gotten this. So.
Majin Buu, and this is one of the things as a commentator that I will say, is a fun character to watch work.
Facts.
Because as I mentioned earlier, there are certain characters that are very strong, but are very linear. Majin Buu is not that. When Majin Buu gets going, as a commentator, I get lost sometimes. I'll be like, how the hell did he grab him here? And I'm like trying to watch the setup. And then it'll be like, oh, and then they go for a tick throw instead of just going for the DR, or they just take the combo, and the other person like clearly wasn't ready for them just to continue the combo, and then gets hit by the Naoki right afterwards.
Right.
And it's just like he's a very fun character to watch. And actually, that brings us to the question we asked at the very start, which is Pump. Just after describing all of your experiences with this character, where do you rank Majin Buu in terms of the cast?
Yeah.
Great question. So I right before ECT, like Floki said, right before the Universal Fuzzies, I was like, dude's top 5. Because I didn't think A Gohan was better than Majin Buu. So now that the Universal Fuzzy has been a thing, and now this whole meta has been under the Universal Fuzzy, I still think that Majin Buu is still top tier, still top 7, top 10. Like I can't think of better other than the top 5. Yeah. I don't think there are other characters that are better than Majin Buu. So when I look at tier list, at the very first stage of when I was looking at these tier lists, right, I had to just calm myself down and just think, okay, these are just character popularity, character representation, character statistic W's that they get from these tier lists. So where do I place Majin Buu? I'm just telling you right now, in the last 7 months, me just playing this character.
Yeah.
He's top. He's top 7, top 8, because I've seen Bardock throughout 2 years or a year and a half, and everyone played Bardock. Multiple people played Bardock. Yes. So all the tech was just constant, and then all the the what works and what doesn't work got him to be where he's at, right? Team Gohan was in the earlier of the year was mid. Now he's top tier. Base
Thank you for the
Vegeta,
host, Eriquito. I appreciate it, my man.
thank you. Base Vegeta was mid. Now he's top. Base Goku was mid. Now he's top, right? So the same argument can be placed with Majin Buu, right? It's just that only few people are playing this character, right? So I really, besides the Universal Fuzzy coming into play, listen, I mean, I didn't get to 9th at HOC and 17th at ECT with a character that's mid tier. It doesn't work that way. No matter how strong you might think I am, my point character is Majin Buu, right? So he's putting in the work. So if you think he's not good, if you're putting hit above Majin Buu, you are an idiot.
I wouldn't put him there. I'm somebody who probably has more respect for Hit than a lot of people, purely because 7 is in my region.
Yeah.
And so as a result, like I fear that character slightly more than a lot of people. But when we did a list, I don't know if you saw. Actually, you probably did. It was the list that we did on the last podcast episode where we talked about changes for characters we'd like to see balance-wise going into season 3.
Yeah.
And Majin Buu, I did quality of life changes because I know he's one of those characters who very easily, if you were to buff in the wrong way, would become oppressive.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to say is Alioun, a year ago when everyone was tier list, season 1.
Yeah.
Alioun had Majin Buu SS tier, right? If we pull up that tweet, Sonic Fox was like, what do you he's not that good, blah blah blah. Alioun was, which is very strong, which is very strong. And that restand mix is very, blah blah blah, yes. Right? So everyone's general consensus of Majin Buu was always that restand, right? And that was because of Alioun constantly posting up tech with the restand, right? Then they took it away. But even Alioun, very early in the season, I'm not playing this character. Wham. This character, wham. I'm not playing. Now he's playing him again because he saw, okay, wait a minute. He is still broken. He is still cheap, right? So if you look at Broly, right? Broly is a top tier character.
Yes,
quote
he
unquote.
Is often considered top 6, top 7.
Top 6, right? I look at that, I'm like, the fuck are you guys smoking, right? The dude has Ki Blast and armor on his moves. So what? Right? Now, someone might look at me crazy and say, wait, well, those are good things. And I say, what if I tell you Majin Buu has the same things too? Majin Buu has Ki Blast and a multi-hitting Ki Blast. And his air Ki Blast is not as strong as we're saying J Vegeta, but it's good. He still has it, right? So, if we're going to put Broly automatically in this top 7 list, right, that only reminds you that, the mix that Broly has is a command grab. And the Ki Blast and
in
armor
fairness
moves.
to the command grab, the light command grab in the thick of it is incredibly hard to react.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm not taking it away. I like to put people in the same, characters in the same tier, right? Where I say if he's top 7, then Broly and Majin Buu are tied. Now I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's just be mindful of why we're placing these characters in these tier lists. And from what I understand, Broly is the command grab and the Ki Blast. And I go, okay, what about Majin Buu? What do you know about Majin Buu? Because Majin Buu has Ki Blast, and he has a hard to react 5M, right? He also has tick throws. He also has, he was only good when he had the restand. Well, he technically still has it,
right?
With Yamcha. So, go ahead.
I think what I'm getting at is that what I'm kind of putting together is like, these characters, like you see all these characters, like the top 7, and you're looking at Majin Buu. It's kind of like you're seeing, like, because I truly believe, and this is not biased because I play you a lot, Pump. This is more of like what I've seen with the character and how he's developed. It's like he has similar tools than all the rest of the top tiers. It's just that the top tiers might do something that's better than him. But I'm not knocking Majin Buu as top tier. He's like the top tier that no one wants to play because of his execution.
Yeah, exactly. So if he's not in the top 10 because of execution, then I co-sign and wholeheartedly. every character can do what he does even easier. However, if we're talking about mixes, oh, this character is this high because of mixes, I'm gonna just say this: when you are in the fat throw,
It's scary.
right,
I don't want to talk
Being
about
on the receiving end, it is actually terrifying.
like
I really like what mix up am I gonna hit you with, and I just go, all right, let me just do a simple one, and it opens everyone up so many times. That I'm like, damn, bro, I didn't even hit you with the new shit, like. So
I don't want to think about empty low with Majin Buu. I don't want to think about that. Man, I have been conditioned so hard. There's been times where I blocked empty low, and there's been times where I haven't blocked. He does fat throw, call GT, have a 50-50, and then empty low. And I'm over here like, I blocked it. I was like, yes, and then I get opened up, and then he throws another fat throw, or he does cartwheel, call Yamcha. Then and the thing is, a lot of people forget this, but cartwheel get an air action still. So you can do cartwheel, call Yamcha, and then
All right, I gotta ask Pump, how am I as the person on defense supposed to react to cartwheel? Because I have absolutely no idea.
You wait until Boo's on the ground.
It's terror because he like does the cartwheel and he like shifts back. So you don't want to mash because then he's just gonna come back in and kill you.
You just
But like I don't want to sit there either. But also jumping out doesn't feel great. So
Right.
I'm not entirely sure how to handle that. Is it vanish?
your pants.
No, don't vanish.
Okay, vanish. Okay, don't vanish.
Well, all right. Here's the thing. All right, with me personally, anyone who's in my local, right?
Yeah.
Any tech I put out, I put the how to beat it or how to get out of it, right?
Wow, I
know that.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wow, Floki, you better start following the people in your own region more closely.
Kite can attest. Whatever tech I say, I always give the way around it, because if I'm hitting you with it every week and you're not getting out of it, then I'm not getting better. So
you're not being forced to actually vary up your
exactly.
mix. Yep.
Exactly. So when it comes to cartwheel, you have to you have to be vigilant of what is the Majin Buu player doing after cartwheel, right? If you haven't noticed, maybe Kite and Hip can attest, I haven't been doing cartwheel anymore or just as much because it was just a scrub killer. But not that there is still ways to beat it, but I'm just like, all right, you know what? I want to mitigate as many opportunities that you can open me up. So back to my point, after I do cartwheel, if I have an assist, just stay put, because like Floki said, once I cartwheel, I can call my Yamcha or GTG beam, and it's still my turn, right? Yeah. So it's a gimmick. It's a oops, did I take my turn? I mean, excuse me, did I give you my turn, or I still have it? So when I do cartwheel, I can air dash out of it, or I can air 2H out of it to catch you jumping, right? So you have to stay put, right? If you vanish, newsflash, if you vanish the moment I cartwheel, I can punish the cartwheel with air jab, because again, I still can move out of my cartwheel.
Oh, so you're still gonna have your air action after that.
I still got my action. So what Hip would do, Hypnotic, he would EX perfect attack, and it would clip me at first because I underestimated what I was doing. Like I wasn't blocking. So but now it's like, okay, well now I'm gonna trick you. Like that doesn't really work. I'm just gonna block it, and now you just did. So the best thing to do is to do nothing, because it's still my turn. If you want to do anything, notice what if I have my assist or not. If I do not, I would say
backdash?
To dash forward or
dash block.
Yeah, dash black or dash forward or dash black, because I can still do anything out of it. You can bait me into doing certain things, like jump up forward, and then if I'm gonna air 2H it, then you vanish to clip my air 2H. But then it's like you just wasted a bar just to get out of the corner and whatever. I would just say stay put, because if I dash at you and I commit to stealing my turn with no assist, then you get your punish because you can clip my air dash. And other than that, just do nothing. You know, I unfortunately just. You know, it's still my turn, technically.
Yeah. Speaking of your turn, I want to transition. We haven't spoken to a Boston native since your Padawan Young Fish came on pod. This was post summit. I want to say in October. So what's besides Boston versus HOC? What's Boston and New England been up to?
So Boston has still been grinding. Hip has still been terrorizing the streets of Boston with BP, which has forced a new level of competition. We have had newcomers. Shout out to Cyborg. Shout out to Ricky, and some of the new names that not my fault. I'm just old and I don't remember names, but it's still flourishing. It's still getting stronger. The competition is definitely getting tighter. And I think one thing that Hip and I discussed a couple of days ago, we really want to, in the hearts of heart, even though we might come off as assholes, it's not our fault. We're from Mass, so we want to help our people, but it's like, hey, a lot of this is coming from free work and just cold-hearted, level up. So him and I had a huge talk, and him and I want to find a way to help the newcomers or even vets like Fish and Pete and whoever the hell is still around. We're going to sit down and really give one-on-one coachings. I won't give too much because I haven't sat it down. So to best answer your question, we do want to have one more visit to HOC before Birthday Bash and before PCG. So if you guys are in the area and you guys make it, Platinum City Gaming, they will be having their first, not their first, their trimester monthly. It's in February 1st. So I would like to see CT Boston do some sort of pseudo summit round 2. But yeah, as far as Boston, I know I'm hungry. I know I personally feel like I leveled up. I gained some +5 EXP the last couple of weeks. So I want to make an HO trip maybe this week, this Saturday, or next Saturday.
That's interesting. The crazy thing was, a lot of people and I remember because I'm in any Discord, everyone's like, "Where the hell have you been?" Like for me, so I think it's funny. Me and you had a little banter earlier, and you were like, "Yo, Flo, are you coming back? Are you coming back? Are you coming back?" I remember Hip was talking to me about it. So I've been seeing I've been watching everything, and because I remember I had a talk with you guys before everybody left from Summit. And I told everybody straight up, I really am proud of where New England is and what everybody's doing, for sure. And I'm excited to get back into the mix of everything and just reconnect with everybody. Granted, I always get hit by empty low 5 times, but that's beside.
I'll hit you with highs.
No,
there we go.
I'll be nice.
Also,
no, but seriously, I just wanted to tell you that on the podcast because I've been seeing what you've been doing, and I will still attest the best set. If there's a VOD of me versus Pump anywhere still, go watch that because that set was my that set was my Pump. I remember I gave you the biggest hug because I think it was the first time Hip didn't win a tournament.
Right? You might be careful. He's lurking in the chat, so I know you come in this Fridays.
I know that's when we came up because I haven't competed, and that was the last time I competed in a long time. I remember you were ecstatic because you won that set. Because I don't know if you from my memory, I didn't know if you won a monthly or a weekly.
Yeah. So the excitement was more so. My brother passed away a week prior.
I remember that.
And I, when driving to BP, like any death, you're going through your feels and your grief. So I asked my brother, I said, hey, you know what? I really appreciate if we can win tonight. So when I had won the match, I really was just I just froze because I asked my brother who passed away, to help me out, and I was just like shocked. I was like, wow, this is weird. The universe did come through. So
Lent you that energy.
Like,
yeah, he did.
Like I knew about the passing, but I didn't know the whole story. So like that makes me feel like I don't know if I can vouch for you, but I feel like that's the best set I've ever played of Dragon Ball. This is
it was there was a lot of emotions throughout that play. I'm not really an emotional player unless you just piss me off or just do stupid shit.
Like
So
like real shit. Like me and Pump go back and forth. Like I have like logs of me and him just playing, and I'm like every single one of our games is really close unless there's a blowout match.
Yeah.
It's
usually methodical. It's usually like chess. Like, oh, he went here. Oh, I do this.
Exactly.
So it's never out of emotion. So that set was just pure. The divisions were emotions. So
definitely on my side too. Like I remember I was in a really good spot, and I was like in the midst of like planning Summit, and I was like, I don't know if I should compete. I think everybody ragged me to play that night. I remember that. Everyone ragged on me. He's like, you should just play. And I was like, whatever. And I remember, I tell this story all the time. I texted my girlfriend, and I was like, bruh, I might reset this bracket. Reset the bracket. I was like, wait a minute. We got a set. And that set, if there's any archive of that set, it went 3-2, 3-2 the entire way.
Whew! Full 10-game set?
Full 10-game set.
Damn.
And that's the best set I've ever played of Dragon Ball. I don't like to give myself clout, but I have to vouch for Pump because Pump is like my dude through and through. And I'm not trying to make you warm and fuzzy right now, Anthony. I'm sorry.
No, hell no. I mean, I appreciate it. I mean, I'll be honest. Any match that I win, I'm like, yes. Whew. I don't go into any match.
Go on. No, you were just like, oh God.
Yeah, I don't go into matches thinking that. I mean, unless I know there's a skill gap between us. Other than that, like when we played, I don't even know that I knew that you resetted it. I knew, we were going down to the wire.
Right.
But I was just like, damn, this is a good ass fucking set. This is a good match. So when it was over, I was like, damn, shit. So.
And then that guy ran over and hugged you, and I was like, that was the best set I've ever played of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And I talked about it for a good month. I still talk about it to this day because it's like one of those things. But
it was a good set.
that set blows my mind. Jay, and also, I will still talk about CT how they left me that night because they thought you were gonna wash me. So I was like, okay, and then I reset the bracket, and they were like, oh, we're sorry.
Wow.
I will still roast CT for this. I get there were
They left? You all left your boy there when he was playing grand finals?
I'll still roast CT for that to this day. To this day.
Y'all
I
are
will
cold.
say CT is the most perplexed scene I've ever come up. So I'm not surprised they left you. You should know your scene better than you. Keep your friends close and your enemies close.
I mean, apparently, my God.
But it's still I think New England's gotten really close over the last couple. I think if anything, we should do New England versus HOC. I think it's at that time now where if you bring me, Kite into that fold.
Oh man, Hypnotic still picking fights in the comments here.
What?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to him. He actually has a personal vendetta against Floki. So.
Oh. What did I do to him?
I wouldn't want to speak for him, but he definitely,
Hypnotic, type out your beef in chat so I can read it to the stream.
he just wants that run back. He just wants. I'll say that.
The thing is too, I remember when I first met Hip, and I was like, this whole thing with New England, Boston. It's just that whole feeling you can you meet your neighbors, right? And you're like, whoa. And I don't know if I can vouch for the DMV, but that kind of camaraderie feeling just
the DMV definitely has a lot of that. And actually,
when we're doing DMV versus New England,
speaking of the DMV,
oh dear.
So Pumperjam, now a little while, 2 months ago, this was 2 monthlies ago, I remember. You posted something on Twitter. It's time to talk. It's time for Twitter talk.
Okay,
Yeah.
we have a little bit of time. We can talk about it.
All right, so Pump, you said you wanted to clarify your statements that you made. Now,
Absolutely.
this is that chance. So whatever you want to clarify, if you want to double down, you could do that too. I have no idea. All I want to do is give you this platform to speak that good shit. So I'm gonna pass it over to you, Pump.
Thank you.
Don't
Well, hey. Whether if it's Pumperjam or Anthony, I must speak the fair shit.
That's look, that's the thing. That's all I expect from players. I don't expect anything else. So talk it. What's good?
Yeah. So I want to just preface. There's a long story to this and a short.
All right. I actually have no idea. All I know is it came out of now.
It did come out of left field.
Yeah, because for me, to give you a little bit of my perspective before you kind of give me the lore here, is I'm like the sort of face of my region in terms of like trying to be the liaison between regions and stuff like that.
Right.
So normally I'm the first person to try to like get on top of things. So when this came out of nowhere, I was like, "What the hell?" Like it caught me off guard.
He texted me about it, and I was like,
I was like, "What's going on?" But anyways, talk it up. What's good, Pump?
All right. So I want to just again preface. It's not what you guys thought the message was about.
Okay.
So the short story really was 2 months ago.
Okay.
I thought I mentally reached a plateau.
All right.
And so what I do as my training regimen is I like to train with weaker players because it helps me see what weaknesses I have, and then we can grow together, right? Grow stronger together. So I wanted to think to myself, all right, cool. Let me pair up with online weaker players so that we can level up and then just go from there. So the message just came out completely fucking wrong. And what I wanted to say was, hey, I want to, do an online gang of training rivals so that we can level together. I think the RMV is the weakest. Let's, if they're not, let's open up for discussion because I really wanted to play with the weaker players. And when I mean weaker, I'm not insinuating trash. I'm just saying, all right, it ain't HOC or New York because they are the strongest players. I want to play them. If not Jersey, because all I can think of Jersey is Sage and Lore Knight, so it's
Sage,
not them either.
LK, TAC. Their roster is actually rather deep.
So I knew Jersey was better than me regional wise, and again, this was always to play online on a weekly, occasional basis, right?
right.
And then Philly, I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I played a lot of people in Philly from ECT, so I think Philly is also either on par with Boston. Or stronger than Boston. So you know what? I think what's left was the RMV, right? So what I just wanted to say was, which I should have just left the word weak out of there. It would just
I'm waiting. I'm letting you finish, and then I will give my piece. So finish your statement before I say anything.
Yep. And so, however the message came out, I just wanted to just group with like-minded players. Like-minded skilled, because again, this was 2 months ago where I thought I plateaued, so I wanted to play people at my level, team up, address opportunities, and grow stronger together, right? And I left the tweet with the open-ended, open for discussion. But what I meant for open with discussion was more so who, if they're not the weakest, who are? Because again, I always thought in my mind, if this was going to be online, I was never going to travel, and I was never going to do anything. It was just this. So immediately it caught fire, it caught wind, it got spread all over. And from the responses that I got, and this is where I'm saying I must be fair, right? Most people said it for me. Yes, the RMV is the weakest. And I'm like, shit, I can't put this fire down. That's not what I wanted to say. Lucky D pointed me to her name is Sharpie. And so
she is the head TO for Xanadu Games.
Okay, so I didn't know Xanadu Games, and I didn't know who Sharpie was.
So just to let you, so Xanadu Games, that is the venue that you know VG Boot Camp.
Now I know. Now I know.
Yep, that is who you were talking to. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lucky D just like he just threw me to the boss, the chief, right? And I'm like, shit, what the fuck? And she's like, so what do you mean they're the weakest? And so I straight up say I'm ignorantly and blatantly biased for what I said, and really what I want is to play people so that we can level up. And she just said, and I don't blame her, but then again I'm like, you know what? I wish we can reconcile this, but it is what it is. She was like, you know what? I suggest you level up your own team, your own scene. We got this. Here's a follow if you like. Blah blah blah, and then peaced out. And then I'm like, shit. Well, I mean, it is what it is. Like I can't fix this.
Right.
And then so then there was her response, and there was everyone from the I think they were New York. I ain't trying to throw people in the bus, but everyone else that said, yeah, y'all are weak. Yeah, the R&B is weak. I'm like, well, I guess I gave a platform to say this, but then Fish came out of nowhere, wanted to smoke. Oh yeah, Boston better than. I'm like, bruh, you know what? I didn't tag you this. I'm not speaking for my scene. I want to just train with Baltimore, right? Because
you were making a statement for just you.
No.
Yeah. Fuck. And then Floki was like, oh, no, stop. Like, how do I? Because again, I'm not a Twitch chatter. I'm not a Twitter chatter. Like, and I can't go back and edit my shit. So it's like, fuck, I already fucked this up.
No, all right. So is that the story?
That is the short story.
That's a short story.
There's a long story.
What background details are we missing here?
The only background details that I would hope to leave out is what sparked all this.
I gotta listen. I don't normally appeal to my position to tell people to tell me things.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna do that in this situation because I gotta know where that energy came from.
So, well, that's Pumperjam. I think sometimes shit just comes out of nowhere. So, but there is sometimes there's an origin, right? So,
yeah, I
will say, right, because I think we are three, capable individuals to have an intellectual conversation. Yeah. So, respectfully, so I want to preface: I have no heat with R&B, and I don't want any smoke from them. If Boston wants to do it,
one thing I will say though is if you continue to call it the RMV, it's the DMV. And there are people who will have smoke over that. I will let you know right now.
Why am I saying R&B? Apologies.
For a second, I actually thought you were saying R&B, and I was like, no, it's not R&B. It's the DMV. But you're good. It's the DMV.
I'm gonna Google why I'm saying R&B. Anyway, DMV. My apologies. My first interaction from anyone from the DMV was Seven.
Yeah, that's our boy.
Great. So, I was lurking on Discord or whatever, and Brad, our Brad.
Yeah, Brad Muse.
Brad Muse. Yep. He said, "Hey, Pump, you're getting buzz. You're getting buzz on Alucard's stream," and I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, cool. What's going on?" This was when Alucard was announcing who was the 8 that we were going to play against.
Yeah.
And so, I think this was after the UTR monthly. Where I got third or whatever, and I remember from the if we pull out the receipts, I've openly shared multiple times that I'm in a particular state of mind and I'm just doing whatever I want to do. So pick up what I'm putting down. So Seven says, and I'm paraphrasing, so don't quote me. He says something of the like, "Oh, Pumperjam will fit in real well with HOC," and so I'm like, "What kind of suspect shit is that? What does he even mean by that?" And granted, this is my
I know this is your side. This is your side. I'm giving everything you say. Like I'm a neutral party here, as hard as that might be believed.
I'm not talking any shit. I'm not trying to talk anything.
No, you're letting me know what happened from your side.
Yeah, I'm letting to know. Yeah, exactly. So when I saw that he said Pump will fit right in with HOC. I didn't know how to take that, right? Is he complimenting me? Is he dissing me? Is it a sneak diss? Because I don't know who the heck Seven is, and I don't know why my name is even mentioned in the chat, right? So I immediately jump into the chat, and I can't scroll up to see the context. So now I'm like, who the heck is Seven, right? So I go back in the UTR bracket, and I'm looking at Seven. I'm like, this motherfucker didn't even compete. So how do you even know who am I? Like, if anyone in that tournament played me, then they can have the right to say whatever about me. But Seven didn't play me, or I didn't play Seven. So I'm like, where is he getting this bias from? So after not knowing where he could have, I just asked, "Hey, Seven, what do you mean?"
Yeah.
And granted, you can't read tones, but this was my tone. Hey, what do you mean? I would fit right in with the HOC. And so he's like, well, you do a whole bunch of things that would work online but not work offline. And I'm like, Again, I'm paraphrasing. I go, okay, well, what are these things? So he lists things that I do that would not work. So he's, in other words, speaking confidently of my play without knowing what my play actually is. Because as far as I know, you only saw my play in one tournament, right? So you can't say that Pump will fit in based off one tournament, right?
Right.
So now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pull your cards. I'm gonna ask you these questions to see where you're getting your stats from, or your points from. So he mentioned things that I did, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I did. No, I'm not chatting or responding back to this, but the things that he said, I'm like, okay, wake up 2H. Okay, fine. I remember when I did that, it was a level 3 Yamcha. He tried to cross me up in the corner. That loses to 2H. I did it. So what? I won. He said I do EX Orb. I said, okay, well, it does work. It's good, whatever. So he listed things that I do that I'm like, all right, well, all right, if that's the case, then that is the case.
Okay.
But then he listed one thing and then said, well, you know what? This one thing that you do might actually work with the HOC. So scratch that. And so I just respond and say, hey, well, don't tell me what doesn't work. Tell me what does work. Don't tell me what does work. Tell me what doesn't work. Because you said that I do things that wouldn't work, right? So I'm just writing notes down to see what I should not do when I'm going into HOC. So he just responds and says, I already listed what those were. Right? Now, okay. I'm not reading it into attitude. I'm not reading it into anything. I'm just like, all right, cool. As long as we're on the same page. All right. And that's what I responded. And so I just said, all right, cool. As long as we're on the same page, we good. I ended it with we good. That's right there. I ended it right there.
Okay.
I got that he noticed that I do things that either would work or would not work. And from his explanation, he's not talking shit. I go, all right, cool.
Yeah, Seven, knowing him personally, he's not a person who talks shit. He will just tend to kind of list out his thoughts on people's play, though. That is something that he does.
Anyone will do that. Anyway, and that's fine. And I didn't take any of it. I was just like, who are you? Who's your daddy? And what does he do? So, when he said that, I thought I was done with the conversation, but then he came and said, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And so he goes, well, you came in here hot. You came in here asking 21 questions, ready like you were strapped. And I was like, how many people are strapped that ask questions? It's usually shoot first, ask questions later. So I don't understand your point. And so he was like, oh, well, there's a certain way to talk to people. And then I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I didn't say how's your day going, but you mentioned my name. And so I just wanted to ask clarity, and you answered those questions. So we good here.
All right. So that now I've kind of got the picture, and then I'm guessing that you figured out what region he was from. That's probably what happened, right?
Yes. So then I went to Boston.
Okay. Now I'm putting it together. Okay. So then you figured out what region Seven was from.
Yeah. And then I said, oh, go ahead.
And then you made the tweet based on that after you figured out where he was from.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Nope. I'm missing a step. All right.
You're missing a step.
What step am I missing?
What? Okay, you're not missing. Not totally off, but so based off that interaction, I can personally say I don't judge a book by its cover, but based off that interaction with Seven, I already consider him a weak player because of that conversation, right?
Wow.
Because I asked him questions, and although he delivered, he got defensive. He got not personal, just got defensive. He felt the need to tell me that there's a way that I need to talk to people, or that I could talk to people. And it's like, you know what? All this extra talk that we're doing is extra things that may open you up, or extra things that might work against you, that in life or in game it's not in your favor. That's
Okay.
just my methodical thinking, right? So that's when I'm like, okay, you're a weaker player, right? Because the conversation ended not when I said it's good, but when you answered my question, right? So if you wanted to check up on me and ask me how am I, am I good, right? You felt defensive. You felt like there was something more when there was nothing more than that, right?
Right.
You assumed, and that to me is if you're blocking in a situation, you're going to assume, am I going to go for an empty high or empty low? You just didn't sit there and see what was going to pan out.
So you
Right.
took the way the interaction played out from your perspective, and went. You then extrapolated that to the way he would play.
Yes.
Okay,
And then,
I'm following your logic here. I'm seeing the way that you are reaching these conclusions here.
Yeah. So that was A. So once someone told me, oh yeah, he's from the DMV. Oof, I had to save myself there.
I heard it and I saw you say it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So once someone said that he's from the DMV, I'm like, I bet that's one weak person in my rule book, right? Then, I started asking people. Well, not asking, but I just started thinking of the names in the region, right?
Yeah.
We obviously know HOC is the strong, or New York is the strongest, right? So that leaves them. Then we also know New Jersey arguably is second.
Now
right?
I got a question. When you're saying HOC is the strongest, do you mean on the East Coast?
Yes. I'm sorry for what I was doing for what I wanted to do back 2 months ago to team up with select fews.
Okay. Yeah.
And go from there.
Okay.
Sorry, I've heard some people make like the argument that HOC is strongest in the world, and while they're very good, I had to check because like yeah.
Nah.
Continue.
I mean, arguably, I don't know, but they're strong, but I don't know. I'm not touching that. But New York is strong, Jersey is strong, and then Philly is strong. And so I was like, all right, cool, strong. They're exempt. I want people at my level. I already get CT. I get kite every other week. So
those are people you play a lot.
Those are people I play a lot. So it's like, all right, what is what's left, right?
Wait. Do you consider me a weak player? Hold on.
Again, so before you get defensive, right?
He's already labeled you. It's over, Floki. It's over.
Before you get defensive, the word weak can mean a lot of things. The word weak can mean a lot of things. It can mean weak in communication, weak in execution, weak in gameplay. It means a lot of things. Do I think you are a weak player? It all depends, right? But I can't make that assessment because we only played online. You are a weak online player, but I don't know what you're doing online. Right? Someone can say I'm a nut, right? Seven said I'm a nut. But hey, I'm drinking and doing adult things while I'm playing. So, it all comes down to context, right? I think you are a strong player, but I think that online you make weak decisions. But then again, I don't know. Maybe you were just having fun and you just wanted a super dash at it.
Floki, you can't zip up your hoodie to hide from Pump.
Podcast, I would have been like, what?
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, in my workplace, right, we throw the word weak so often that only the actual weak, will get offended or get personal, right? Because weak is just an opportunity, right? No one comes off strong. No one is born strong. So it's just like
I just want to get a quick reaction and get a moment out of that. Honestly, I love you, Pump. Like you, brother, to me.
Good, great.
Okay. So
that was a weak job.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it. So I just knew that 7 was from the DMV. So I was like, all right, cool. If this dude is from the DMV and this is how he talks, and then all right, cool. Then this has to be established. But again, I didn't hold back. I said I'm ignorantly and blatantly just arbitrary stats. Like I said it. I was not holding back because I knew and recognized it came off wrong. I was apologetic, and I would try to right my wrong, but it seems like no one cared, or certain people didn't care to rectify it. So first of all, I appreciate you, Jdiesel, for letting me, try to rectify that. But all I want to do is just play players that I thought were in my skill bracket and level up. So
Yeah. Okay. See, and I think, all right. So now it's my turn. So now I'm gonna respond.
Right,
I'm gonna respond back from the other side. So.
All right. So am I gonna hear I'm gonna see X. I've never seen Jdiesel. Is it like the second?
Yeah. First off, hearing your explanation and putting things in context was helpful for me because it definitely shows me how we arrived at this situation. Because frankly, I had absolutely no idea how we got to that point, and now it makes a lot more sense to me.
Okay.
I will say, the wording of that tweet, that was not the way to do it. Now, for what you've explained to me, for what your stated goal was, that was the worst way to have gone about it.
Freak.
Yeah, and that's just how that is. Because what this was is you talk about the word weak. This was weak communication on multiple sides.
Yes.
And as a result, the intended goal, the intended point of what you wanted to get done didn't get done. And if anything, set communication back. Because now, if people had a neutral stance, and this is suddenly the only exposure they've had to you, they're like, damn, this guy's coming out swinging, and I don't even know who the hell he is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And because that's it for a lot of people. That was their only exposure to you. Now, I knew who you were before this, so I was a little bit more like kind of tap on the brakes. Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of knew. So I wasn't pressed personally. Yeah. So definitely like the communication thing. As for Seven, now I know Seven would be like, don't speak on my behalf or whatever, but I'm gonna do this at least a little bit because I know him well enough for at least most of it. My guess is that probably the way that your wording hit Twitter and kind of came off a certain way. I'm guessing somewhere in the replies. Now I haven't read anything, so this is pure speculation. Probably had some of that same edge.
Right.
And that's probably why Seven thought you were pressed. Because he gives advice to a lot of people. And I have watched people get very pressed after he gives them advice. Now, and it's not even in a hostile way. They just get like upset because they're like, well, that's not wrong with my play. And it's like, why do you keep doing this? Now, I will say, so for those of you asking who Seven is, Seven's actually about to compete at Frosty Faustings. I'm pretty sure he's going to get out of pools. He is a strong player. So I have a 1 to 10 scale that I rate players. 7 is upper 7, low 8, somewhere in there. So that's like the transition between a regional and a national level threat. I probably more of a 7, but like he's a strong player. I would say you and 7 are relatively equal in skill level. I think that would be like fair for me to say, just knowing both of you. Now, granted, you have to take my word on that, or you cannot take my word on that either way. But yeah, I mean, I can't convince people, right? So like, it's either you believe it or you don't.
Honestly, I remember you called me a 7. I was like, oh yeah. Also, I find it ironic you called.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of it's also like and when I call people a 7, sometimes they get mad. But like the people I put at 8 are like national level players, exactly. Like people like LK, whatever. Because the other thing is like a lot of people get very hung up in regional results, in local results. The results that I think truly define your larger career are your major wins, your major placements, and your world tour results.
Correct.
And I don't think it's fair to call somebody like an 8 or a 9 if when it comes to like national level events or world tour level events, they don't place. You could be a strong player and be a 7 if you never travel and put up those results. I can't call you an 8.
Exactly.
Right, like that's just one of the ways I feel. And actually, Pub, I think there are a lot of people in my region who would like to play with you. Now, in terms of the DMV being the weakest region on the East Coast, yeah, it probably is. Like, as the person who, like, loves and cares about our region the most, yeah, we probably are. To be honest, if I were to rank the East Coast, it would probably be I don't know much about Georgia slash like North Carolina, like that intermediate region. I mean, they have no commie in Carolina, but I don't know enough about the rest of that region. I don't know if it's just commie.
So Georgia has Scranton, and they also have
Is Scrot
Louisiana.
okay? So Scrot's not Florida. Scrot's GA.
Scott's GA, Jazz Raps GA.
Okay, that alone is like okay. So if I were to rank it, it would probably be like, and this is out of the whole region, not the skill level of every player within it. If that makes any more, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I would
Yeah.
probably
Right.
have like DMV at the bottom, and then it would probably be like CT New England, and then it would be
Wait, you would put CT in New England,
and then
separate-
Boston, and then Boston's next. The Boston's above. I mean, do you guys think as a region you're better than Boston?
No, I'm saying like you could just clump us all together.
That's too big. That's like 7 states or 8 states.
Cool. Okay.
That's it. That's it.
I'm back.
That's it. That's it. And then it's like then it's them. And then you have. This is where it gets hard because there's 3 regions left, right? Which the other 3 regions would be HOC, Jersey, and Florida.
Really?
I've talked to a couple very strong people who say that right now a lot of people on the East Coast aren't giving Florida the respect they deserve.
Facts.
Which I've heard a couple more than once talking to people that they think Florida's better than HOC.
Oof.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Nobody will echo that sentiment on Twitter because we all know how that would go. But it is something that I have heard and I think is interesting. I would personally love to just see an 8v8 crew battle.
HOC versus
HOC Florida.
Oh my god!
And here's the thing: is it just Florida or is it Florida GA?
No, I think Florida because Florida has its own thing.
Yeah, Florida's got enough players, but if they borrowed like Scrot,
then you could do HOC and NJ versus.
Yeah, like that would be interesting. So like,
you can throw.
And that's the thing. So like, you get to like the top 3, right? And I think the big thing right now is like however you choose to order them. I would say that I want to give HOC the edge because I think the other thing is the sheer volume of strong players they have, right, is incredibly high. Just the volume of just how many physical strong players. The numbers of like 7s at HOC is wild. So I would definitely put HOC there, but regardless. So HOC, Jersey, I want to know more about it because right now I really only, and then there's also Philly in the mix. So I would say Philly is probably around Boston level. It could go kind of either way, I think. You have a good number of strong Philly players. How do you feel about Philly? I'll kick it over to you, Pump.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head as far as the lists that you just compiled. I do think Philly. I think if we were to do a Philly versus Boston, I think it'll be a very close.
What would the score here? What would the score be? 8v8 Boston Philly.
I think it'll be like a 8-5, 8.
Okay, so it's going to be a respectable. It's not going to slam either way.
I don't think it'll be a wash.
You borrow. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. Now listen. I know it's 8 states. Hold your horses. Hold thy horses, man. Like I haven't heard, and this is personally because I kind
Go
of
for
follow,
it. Yeah.
I kind of follow everything on any Discord. I keep an eye on everything. And I've done some personal work and I've looked around. And I haven't heard of the rest of the states. I feel like at this point in the game, you can kind of, I don't want to make a big claim, but like I feel like New England's CT, Mass, and then like maybe like a handful of players.
Well, part of what has started to happen in the discourse around regions now is a lot of people are starting to talk about, as this is in the wake of the 8v8 actually. People are starting to view Boston as its own region, or like its own
That's fair.
and in the same way Jersey is, right? Where like you could like theoretically make the claim. Actually, to be the strongest entity on the East Coast is actually Sonic Fox's apartment.
That's
That's
true.
actually the most powerful region on the East Coast, but it's not fair to include because like they're their own entity. That includes like the Kill Sage and you know Nakio, right? Like they're now Nakio can be HOC. I know that he has like stated that, but I think Sonic Fox is definitely kind of his own. Him and Sage are kind of their own apartment. They would 2v8 any region in the country, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't know if that's like a fair metric or whatever.
But no,
But
yeah, like the only reason why I'm sorry to cut you off. The only reason why I bring it up that like, and I about those rumblings, and my thing is that like we're at the point now where there's a lot of scenes in New England, and like I don't know if I can vouch for Pump, but it seems like everybody just goes up to Boston at this point because everywhere else across the board is kind of done.
Yeah.
Like-
But it may be the end of the season.
That too, but
season 3 will inject some more
like-
lifeblood in.
like that's my thing. Like, I just feel like at this point in the game, like for New England, and I haven't had my own personal like haven't had a second to like kind of say that out loud to any. Like, I just feel like at this point in the game, like you can kind of lump everybody together. Like,
So
kinda
you
like,
so you don't like the notion that Boston is its own. Okay, Boston is New England.
I don't.
If hey, look,
I think it's-
again, this is somebody who is just all I do is I talk to people.
No,
These are
right.
sentiments I have been hearing and have been like, this is the way people outside your region are beginning. Some of them are looking at
No.
your region.
That's dope. But like, I'm just at the point. Like, I see both sides of it. Like, I see Boston as their own thing, and I also see kind of like New England being this thing.
What
together.
I would do if I were you guys then, next 8v8 that your region does needs to have representation from the wider, right?
No, right, and my thing is like one thing I don't want to take away from Boston because I love, like, that's something that like I'll never take away. Is that like we're at the point where I'm looking at as a TO and like a scene perspective. And I've talked to Kite about it personally. It's like everywhere else you go, like everything else is dead besides Boston.
So it's the necessity of the region just kind of falling out the way it does.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like at the point now where like you can kind of technically put me and like Kite and like Javi, like everybody else in Boston. We technically, right?
Yeah.
But like
the whole thing with rating all the regions is like if you want to get in, you want to argue this region's better than that region. I mean, I think you can make cases for most of them, and I do think we're the weakest on the East Coast right now. Right now, out of the entire DMV, we have one player who I would be willing to put any type of money on in a national level setting.
Facts. It's hard to do that.
Yeah, and beyond that, I think we have a lot of people who are close, but typically have one flaw, and it's normally a major one, that is keeping them from being able to push further. And
Exactly.
my goal, and this is in not Hypnotic, sorry. I read Hypnotic's name in chat. Pump. One of the things you're talking about is you want to get more games, especially with people at your own skill level, slightly weaker, whatever else, right?
Mhm.
And that's important, and that's really important, because the fact of the matter is, especially if you're not from a premier region in the country, you need to be playing with as many people outside of your region as possible. Physically traveling, playing online, mostly physically traveling if you can. Because the fact of the matter is, when you have a local where the strongest people gather, you still need to travel, but it's slightly lessened.
Exactly.
But if you have a smaller region, if you have a region that you want to become strong, where suddenly you're in the consideration for being a strong region, you have to put in the effort. Your players have to put in the effort and be willing to travel. And
Right.
you have to try to foster communication and interaction between regions. Because otherwise, yeah, the strong regions are going to get stronger and the weaker regions are just going to fall away. And that's just what's going to happen. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're the third strongest region in the country, you shouldn't be content. You
No,
should, as a region, you should be content when your players are dominating the World Tour stage. When you're crafting world champions in your backyard. And now, granted, you can take pride, and this is the thing. Don't go, oh, I can't take pride in my region because, you know, we didn't send somebody to Evo and they did amazing or whatever. But that should be long-term your goal. You should be working to foster a strong base community, help the players reach the potential that they can, and ultimately push for greater stages. As a region, do not be content to go, I am happy just within my region. I want to go to other regions and show them I am strong.
Yeah.
And I respect what you did, Boston. I very much respected what you did. Because a lot of people from the jump were like, oh man, why are they even doing it, blah, blah, blah. But you didn't care. You went, you played, you got XP, and you got a chance. And Pump, you said you blew up after that, right?
Yeah.
You get the exposure that you needed. And like that, like me and Kite actually talked right after the fact about that set. And there was a lot of, I kind of reminded myself like to look at it not just as Boston, but also as New England. Because that was the first time in a long time that someone from New England traveled down there. Last time that I knew of someone was me, because I don't think I've been down there yet. I know and then Groove's been down there. I've been down there. Taz has been down there. But like a whole squad of people like going
a legion of Bostonaires. Like that's what it was.
Exactly. So it was like kind of like for me, being on the outside of that, like I mentioned this again, like I think that was a big thing for not only Boston but for New England in general. Like one thing. Oh, what?
I'm sorry, Hypnotic made me laugh. It's all good.
Is Hypnotic still roasting me in chat?
No, he said Boston's gaining autonomy.
That sounds so bad. Like, no, here's the thing about Hip. Like, Hip, I have all the respect in the world for Hip. That man in the Discord will just in all caps. And I'm like, that man's me.
Yeah.
But
I can back up what he says.
That thing, I think at the end of the day, like, what Boston has done, and I think what we can do now, like with New England and I think DMB, and like I've been interacting with Seven a lot more than I normally have, and like with you and like your brother and things of that nature. I think right now we're at the point where we can do something that would foster something really big for a lot of us.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I want to do. But before because we are starting to get near the end here, I do want to wrap back for a second to Pump. But like, I know I obviously went on a whole long thing. But first off, I wanted to say you made your statement about the DMV. I don't think you were wrong, but the delivery was weak. To use your own words, your delivery and your communication were weak.
Yep.
So
a whole part of the
So next time that you want to communicate with my region, think about your approach options and pick the one that's going to land the successful hit. So that way we can have better communication between regions.
Did you just make a fighting game reference?
I did. I mean, look, I'm on a podcast about Dragon Ball Fighters. Why am I not going to? But honestly, basically that. And what I want to see is, because here's the thing: when I did that list right there, with all three of us right there, we're not the best in the country, and that's fine. But the thing is, every single one of our regions should be putting in work to try to get there, because if we don't, we're just going to stagnate. And then what? And also, I don't know. Again, I go back to this, and I firmly believe this. As a region, you have to travel You have to be willing to put in time and sacrifices beyond just going to compete in your region, because you can get really strong in your region. Like, one of the things that I was really impressed by was Kevin Tech's performance, where that was an example of somebody who everyone who saw, who talked to Alucard or whatever, was like, man, Kevin Tech was great. But how many times have we gotten to see him on outside his region? You all knew. You were talking him up so much, and I was like, who is this guy? And I'm on the same coast as you. Let's fix that. Let's start trying to get players more publicity, more attention, especially if you're not in a premier region.
Facts.
Because once you start doing that, like Pump, the way you blew up, I want every strong player on this coast to blow up. That's what I want. And if
play Majin Buu.
Yeah. Okay, so
everybody, wait, side note. Pumperjam. Since Majin Buu makes people in the cookie, what's your favorite cookie?
Oh, true. What is your favorite type of cookie?
Jeez, yeah, I don't know. I barely put people in level 3s. I don't look at the small details, but I would have to say,
like your own personal favorite cookie.
If I had to choose,
which cookie
would I like? Well, did you guys know that if Majin Buu puts the newer Broly in a cookie, he'll get 2 different types of cookie depending if he's leveled up or not?
Really?
Yes. What? So if Broly is
this
normal
is
state,
stuff I would literally never know. Like,
yeah, exactly. So I don't pay attention to the small detail, but if Broly did not level, if he didn't level 3 or powered up, you'll get the armored cookie, or him as armor. But if he leveled up, then you get him without his armored, saying armor. So
that's actually really cool.
So if I had to answer that question, I will pick Broly because I'm hoping I get 2 cookies for one.
But I'm talking about actual cookies you eat.
Oh, well, what is my favorite actual cookie that I like?
I mean, yeah. I thought that tangent was really good, so I was pretty happy about that.
Oatmeal raisin is probably
my man.
It's probably the best.
White chocolate chip craisin is mine. That's the one that is like God tier for me. I respect that. But to wrap all the Twitter talk up, Pump, I just basically wanted to say no hard feelings about anything, and honestly, I want to see more games in between our regions. Like, that's it. I just want to see us all get stronger. So we are. You did a good job, but that actually, I gotta say, thank you for having the courage to actually come on and state your case. Because I know a lot of people who, if I had invited them on, they would have been like, "Oh, no, I can't do that."
Well, I mean, real recognized real. At the start,
I respect that.
The visuals. I knew that what I said, even when I was saying it, I said it was wrong. I said it was ignorant. So I knew, like, shit. Again, unfortunately, I can't go on Twitter and edit and rehash it. So
but you know what? The people actually, we've had a bunch of people in my region in the chat listening, so I'm not gonna dictate you guys how you should feel, but you'll form your own opinions, and I'm sure all the people who are watching this VOD will also form their own opinions. But we are just about out of time here, and that means you know what it is. It is closing time.
Real quick, if for some reason y'all haven't caught up, because we just started the new season.
Yes.
What are y'all doing? What do y'all do? Pump was our first official guest of season 2.
Is that 7 in the chat?
Oh, no.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to put a question mark after closing time.
Oh, my God. I don't got time, bro. I'm just
saying. 7. No, I can't do this. All right, it's closing time.
Yeah.
Oh my. Chat. All right, if you wanna see Seven's response, put a 1 in the chat. If I quick close the stream. No, it's all good. You guys are good. There's no beef. But
I have no beef. If he wants to share whatever, talk it out. Men
No,
like
he's
here,
there's not.
yeah, I hope. I mean, here's the
No,
thing.
no. There'll be
I
beef.
will
There'll be
always-
beef between Hypnotic and Seven by the end of this. But like,
That's very,
Right,
yeah,
we
that's
need
true.
to kill the streak quick because I don't want to hear Hypnotic versus 7.
nah, it's funny. But anyway, so Pump. One of the things we like to do with all of our guests here at Under the Radar is we like to give them the last 5 minutes to go ahead and plug whatever you want to plug, talk your socials, what you've been doing, all that jazz, and go from there.
Okay, cool, great. So as far as plugs, I just want to plug the Boston scene, Hypnotic, excuse me. He is the strongest contender, but as far as the last couple of weeks, I've been getting real close to making him, real serious. I've been very quiet after our sets. I know he's reconsidering how to level up, grow stronger. So, Hip was always the secret boss. He left at one point, came back, and I know I told him you came back because of me, and he admitted it. So I appreciate honesty. So I look forward to season 3. I do know that Boston is getting stronger. I do know that all of us individually from the Boston team is growing stronger. Shout outs to CT. Kite, he's coming every week to our local hour-and-a-half drive just lose in second place or get third. Haha, not sorry. But again, that's commitment, that's dedication. So shout outs to Kite. Let's see. Shout out to Floki. Thanks for having me here. I look forward to seeing you. Shout outs to Jdiesel. Thanks for allowing be on the talk on this show. Put Majin Buu in a better light, or any light per se. And I agree. I think as a region, as a state, as a local, as a scene, whatever the case word may be, I think we need to, collaborate and just really, put our dislikes aside and just really level up. I hope Twitter, if you're listening, you allow me to fucking edit my shit because that's a very suspect tweet. I do know that I will have to explain myself over and over, which I am not shy. I do pride myself in communication, so I do know that if I ever come off suspect, I hope that everyone or anyone will allow me to speak for myself. So with that said, shout out to the Majin Buu Discord. I wouldn't be here with you guys. You guys are constantly giving me tech to bust out in these local tournaments. And other than that, regardless of who is the weakest region, I think we all have one strong opinion. It's that we all like to mash buttons and like to play games. So
I absolutely, and I will say both to Boston, New England, HOC came down to visit us. So if you would like to follow suit, I think it would be worth your time. So that'll be my one little plug there at the end. But
is this when we promote Under the Radar New England versus
it just might happen. Not quite yet. It just might happen though. But anyways, this has been Under the Radar. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. Whether you're watching live or you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate every single one of you. Please follow us on social media. You can see our Twitter handles below. You'll be able to see all the links in the video. Anyways, after this, stay tuned, guys, because I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to raid Calimac right after this. So you want to see the Teen Gohan legend himself.
Also, be on the lookout for Friday because we might have a spicy guest for you guys.
Ooh, I'm already excited. But anyways, I have been Jdiesel.
I have been Floki.
And I've been Pumperjam.
And this has been Under the Radar. Peace out, guys.